Hi there. My name is Chris Bernard. I'm the Chief Strategist at Doc29 Marketing. Got an interesting case for you today. Was contacted by a company that is created a product that is innovative and unique. It's very inexpensive. It's under $20. Um, this company has a website. They've got relationships that they say are kind of in the workings with Home Shopping Network, Ace Hardware, Home Depot. The Home Shopping Network one, as well as the Home Depot one, are really, really close to actually kind of coming to fruition. Um, they they're ready to kind of launch. So the call actually went something like this. They ended up saying, "Oh, we're ready for social media and ready to try to figure out how all that works, and we could use a strategy in terms of deployment, things like that. Yeah, we've got this B2B kind of strategy thing going on, but we'd also like to kind of make sure we work on the B2C as well, right?" So interesting thing. So our conversation took place Monday, actually Monday this week. And by the end of that call, it was obvious by looking at just a couple of reports that we had a lot of foundational work to do. So if that sounds like something that interests you and where you're at it with your company, I challenge you to listen to the following video. So anyway, trying to verify a couple things. So got this call. One of the things I would typically do when I first go ahead and meet a client is to run a SpyFu report just to see what the analytics looks like on the website. And I'm going, I don't see anything. The site actually has been live for, the URL has actually been in existence for over 11 years, like 11 years and 3 months or something crazy like that. No real history on it, but it's been there. It's been an active domain for that long, but no traffic, like literally none, according to SpyFu. Um, Go in, do some searches and things like that. At the end of the day, everything's coming back from a consumer standpoint to searches. So went to the site, great, looked at the site. There's a little bit of SEO going on, but really not too much. There's some articles that they're not really even getting any traffic. Went to the YouTube channel because obviously we've got a couple of videos which are pretty decent, well done, a 15-second and a 30-second video. Again, not terrible, pretty good actually. When you actually go ahead and they're embedded in YouTube, right? So you go ahead and click YouTube. I'm like, dude, it's got like 23 views or something insane like that. I'm like, how is this possible? Did a couple searches. I can't even find, so even just doing a quick search for the brand name, I see nothing in terms of value. The video's not showing up. I can't even get their web page to show up for their own brand search. Their Facebook business page showed up, but it was even further down on the page. Obviously, no Google Ads. Obviously, no Google My Business, and it kills me that this specific product name should be fairly unique, right? We should be able to. It's not too general. So someone to put it in, they should be showing up and coming up appropriately for that. Not just their Facebook page, which was literally 2/3 the way down the page. In fact, even like Wikipedia, I think Wikipedia was even on it. So it goes to show you just how terrible, terrible, terrible the optimization effort is. But they were under the impression that the previous agency that they had was actually doing the work, right? So they're not unusual. From production of video to, is it optimized for search, and those kind of things. A lot of companies have a disconnect between what's actually occurring and then what's showing up in sometimes reports. And some businesses are just so fast growing and so fast moving that they're not even aware of how to measure or track or make sure that what is being sold to them is indeed what they're getting. So that's one of the reasons why I'm making this video, is because there's a couple things that they mentioned that they thought they were getting from their not one but two previous agencies that they weren't getting. So how to verify that the work is actually getting done, right? So a couple things. First of all, reports, right? I mean, if nothing more, and depends on how advanced or what level your agency is playing, there should be some type of reporting, right? If you're going to spend some money, what's that actually generating back to you in terms of dollars? So a report that we give to our clients, we track everything: calls, clicks, conversions online, sales, all that. So, basically the Excel spreadsheet in our case has the campaigns that are specifically going on. It wraps it up, but basically have impressions, types of engagement, right, the costs, and basically the engagement percentages as well as the calls. And from that, you can actually generate or take an average order size even, say, you know what, we're actually converting at this, or we're getting a cost per call of this. Any way to measure that across media. So whether that's your Google AdWords or your Google Merchant Account feed or whatever the case may be, it's physically measured. So some reports are really good, but also, and I'm going to say this, make sure you can see some of the detail. So, again, is there tracking in place? They thought tracking was in place on their systems. They have Google Tag Manager installed, but they don't have analytics installed at all on their site. Now, they do have ShipStation. It's a WordPress website that sells product. They do have ShipStation installed, which has some degree of tracking. There's WordPress, WooCommerce, which is the cart they actually use on this specific site, has plenty of plugins where you can actually see and assign campaign value, and also just simple Google Analytics, which is where we like to actually put stuff because, again, we get a nice little dashboard and stuff like that after campaigns are running. But making sure your tracking is in place. That was not there. Again, if you're going to spend any money whatsoever, you need to know if it's actually returning something. Otherwise, you're kind of shooting in the dark, right? So that's one thing. Make sure there's tracking in place. The second thing is SEO. Well, how do you measure that? Like, how do you know it's being done? Well, first of all, you can kind of search and see this stuff, but again, that's kind of biased. So a couple things. You can verify it. If it's a WordPress website, a lot of WordPress websites, I can't even remember the last WordPress website I've seen that doesn't have Yoast installed on it. Yoast is very easy. If you want to just look at it, you can actually see the back end of the WordPress website, and there's a couple of colors going on. The little, the traffic lights, as you may be used to: red, yellow, green, and gray. Those are your four at this point. They probably will be forever and ever, amen. But red means it's not. Somebody tried to optimize it, but it's nowhere near ready yet to be kind of released to the greater world. Orange. There might be several reasons. Just because it's orange may not necessarily mean it's not optimized, but there is an attempt to optimize there. Green is obviously like, you got it, baby. It doesn't mean, again, that the keyword is that they chose is the right set of keywords or the keyword phrase is the right one. All it means is that that page is specifically designed and optimized for a specific keyword or keyword phrase, or other phrases as well. It can have multiple, depends on which version of Yoast you end up getting. But either way, gray means not been touched. Okay, it's not really optimized, right? So another way to show or prove that if it's actually if SEO is being done, would be to run a SPIFE report or a Web CEO report, where you can actually see the rankings at a slightly third-party perspective, right? It's not your stuff. It's actually a VPN kind of situation, because your search, whether you know it or not, your search is biased based on where you're sitting and who you are, right? So there's a couple things there to be thinking about. The other thing too, if you want to get technical, there's just a couple of brief things you can do. You can look at the description of those pages. You can see keywords in there by looking at source code. Probably not something as a C-level you're going to be wanting to do, but again, you should be seeing some of those reports that show you that the work's being done at the minimum level, right? So AdWords, right? If you have an agency doing AdWords for you, they should be showing you the creative. Now, this becomes a little bit more of a challenge with smart ads because a lot of those ads are being created on the fly. So they can't even actually show you which ads, because Google's taking the content of the 3 or 4 different versions of ads that you've got that they're actually doing for you. And Google's mixing and matching various components of that up, like of smart ads, in order to generate ads, and they're constantly testing these things in a live dynamic kind of situation using AI, machine learning, and all that fun stuff. Net is this. They can still show you the core ad that they're using for the components. So go, is this what we're doing? And challenge them to create more different versions of ad copy, right? So that you've got something we're actually seeing and developing, right, over the course of month over month, right? So you run 3 ads, 3 different versions of ads. You're testing those 3 different versions of ads, and you're going ahead and take the winner, and then you go ahead and say, oh, we're going to create 2 more ads based on what we know about that. And you're going to compare those other campaigns. That's what an agency should be doing, and at least showing you what they're doing, okay? So that you know indeed it's work, that stuff is going on. The other thing is you can actually look at the AdWords dashboard. In many cases, we can run reports for our clients. They may not be able to have direct access to our MCC, which is kind of like a agency management kind of situation, but we can certainly have reports emailed on a daily basis or whatever the case may be with any type of configuration you want, right from Google Analytics or even AdWords, okay? You can also see it in terms of, again, what we talked about is WooCommerce sales or ShipStation. You can kind of see some of that stuff. Video. Video, you're probably likely, hopefully you're approving this stuff on a regular basis. How do you know videos are being done and are being worked on? Well, go look at your YouTube channel, right? Go look and see if there's a number of videos there. If the contract says they're supposed to be doing a video a month, they're going to be posting it there. Make sure that's an understanding and that's going to be there. You can also have access to see the analytics of that. But one of the simple things, too, is you can even look at number of times it's been viewed. It's right there, right in the bottom left of the video itself. There's a big difference that if a video is only seen 50 or 60 times as opposed to 50,000 times, there's a big difference, especially as a viewer coming in fresh and new. So make sure that number is big. And it doesn't, by the way, it's very easy to get that number up. You just spend a couple of bucks in YouTube, 50, 100 bucks over the course of a couple weeks or whatever it is, and basically that number is going to jump from a few tens to a couple thousands. You want to spend a couple bucks more, getting that number into the tens or 20s or 30,000. In terms of ads, real cheap, very inexpensive, 2-3 cents CPM. I mean, really, it's pretty inexpensive. You can get some major leeway there, and again, your ads, your videos then start getting some interest, right? So that's okay, that's good. What else? Google My Business, right? If you do a search for a business's name, and certain queries are going to provide or allow Google to start, considering that ad as a local search, right? Especially if you're sitting in that city and you do that brand search, likely it'll come up on that right-hand box side in terms of the business name with the address and little map and all that fun stuff. If you're outside of the area, sometimes it's not going to show up, right? So you can simply look at that dashboard and be able to see. Now there's analytics even in that in terms of a login. Usually you're doing kind of a set it and forget it in terms of a profile information there. But there's information in terms of hours and all that fun stuff, but insights as well. So how many people actually saw this in search, right? And not just in your local market. How many times the number's been called? What kind of business areas do you kind of, focus in on? So making sure that that's kind of there as well. Speaking of that, right? Other things, especially if you sell product out there, right? We mentioned WooCommerce. WooCommerce has a bunch of pretty cool features, but basically, if you think about a product page, right, for products, you've got a couple things that you would normally consider. You got, your SKUs. You have a product description, right? You may have a short and a long version of that. You may have obviously you'll have a price, you may have a sale price, you may have a picture or an image, right? But these are all things that are already populated into a WordPress, a WooCommerce website, any type of, whatever e-commerce shopping cart you're using is going to have these kind of fields in place and that taxonomy, right? Well, that's all just structured data. A lot of these have already built into it APIs that can share that information directly with Amazon or Google Shopping, right? So it feeds those things. It feeds those carts with that information. If there's different options in terms of sizes or whatever the colors, whatever the case may be. So leverage that. A lot of companies don't even know that that's available. And yes, you still will have to have management of that, Google Merchant account or whatever the case may be. We're actually managing bids and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, if you're not having to upload product one by one, good Lord, that saves you a lot of time and effort. Okay. Bonus for you. Okay. Don't just think digitally. Think offline as well and how that kind of converts in. For this specific client, they're going to have a relationship with these larger players, your Home Depots, your HSNs, right? So assuming when that happens, this next quarter here, well, let's say a home shopping network, this product is going to show up and now establish a name presence, right? And if people are watching HSN or see it at Home Depot, they're likely going to be querying that in to find the content. Well, let's start thinking about this, right? So if we can get that content there sooner, that's optimized with both the distribution, in this case, let's say it's HSN, also with the product name, and we optimize pages, right, to show up for those kind of searches, we may be able to get that premium presence. If nothing more, we're going to get it along with our home shopping network or our Home Depot. But we have the opportunity, right, to beat them to that situation, that placement on Google, for example. So when you do product name search, HSN, we all do this, right? Instead of trying to find the product on Best Buy or something of that nature, we'll often Google the product with that brand name, that HSN or Best Buy or whatever the case may be, and it's pretty good at finding the pages. Well, if we're smart about it, we can actually leverage that concept. So when the visibility does occur at that home shopping network or that Home Depot or Best Buy or whatever the case may be, we've already built out a web page that's optimized for those specific search term keywords, right? HSN and the product name or, whatever. Not only, in fact, multiple pages. We can do we can do pages that say, welcome. We just signed the agreement with this large company. We can do a welcome page there. We're also going to be building out specific product pages, maybe even welcoming that guest, right, specifically for it. Maybe even if there's a discount or even pricing variance, then maybe we can actually make sure that that's consistent, right? So we can add some real value with that. So don't just think don't just think digitally. Think how offline could impact the digital kind of landscape as well. So I hope that kind of helps some of you guys out. Again, it's really interesting to see just continually, and these are smart people, by the way. They're not dumb people, but they're so fast and so busy running in the right direction that they didn't know what they didn't know, right? In terms of the best questions to ask, so that the agency that they hired was doing a good job. Okay, so I hope that helps you. If you have questions about how to grow your business online, or you want to, maybe you've plateaued as a company, you need to figure out how to do things differently, or you want a second opinion about something that maybe you've been told, or even just a concept, or maybe you went to a seminar or a conference recently, a lot of times it's digital now, but some idea that you want to check out, feel free to ping me. I'm here for you guys. I hope you're doing great. Look forward to speaking with you, and have a blessed day. Bye-bye.